Taxes destroying deposits. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Today we're going to have a look at an article discussing a couple who have a $173,000 deposit, but who are having trouble getting into the market, and how they almost miss the message. So here's the run-through of today. As always, we're going to look at how the government tries to come to the rescue, ask ourselves if they have unrealistic expectations, and some solutions, actually, from one of the people featured in this article, which I am really encouraged by. So grab your stein of coffee, I'm going to have a shot, and let's get to it. And let me know what you think of the new presentation style I'm using. So this is a Perth couple with $173,000 deposit saved. And they're devastated that they can't buy a house in Western Australia. So, you know, that's a bit of a funny one, shall we say. It's not that they can't buy a house in Western Australia. They can't buy a house that they want. You know, that's a little different. We'll have a look at what their actual expectations are. So it took them 7 years of saving, by the way, to get this deposit. And we'll have I'll get an estimate of what their actual earnings are. And I've written here 1 year to save for just the stamp duty, but it's a little bit longer than that, actually. It's nearly 2. Need to update that. You know what? Yeah, I'll do that later. So let's have a look at this. This is a portion of the article. I've taken a few pieces out of it. So it's a grim outlook for first-time buyers around Australia as house prices continue to soar. And the problem is not just happening in cities like Sydney and Melbourne. Now, the author of this, she's going to start. We're seeing more and more of these appear. You know, house prices are forecast to jump by 19% this year, according to ANZ, with auctions swamped by more than 100 people attending. And this seems to be a similar story that we're hearing again and again and again. Because, well, property is our obsession here in Australia. We're all just, well, it's a primary way that most people will use to minimize their tax. We saw that yesterday just in the diverse spread of people that use negative gearing. Everyone. It's a scenario Perth resident Sharon, who didn't want her surname to be used, knows all too well. The mum of 3 has saved $173,000 with her husband, Mike, in the last 7 years. So that's not too bad. You know, the plan was to save until December. So they're saving until December. I'll use my laser pointer here. And snap up a house in the $950,000 range. Now, this is not what you'd expect someone to be buying for their first home, $950,000. You'd expect someone to go a bit cheaper. I mean, under $400,000 maybe, $500,000, where the repayments are not going to be that much of an issue, even if interest rates shoot to the moon, if we get double interest rates. Which, frankly, well, hopefully it's going to happen eventually in a few years' time. We don't want to be stuck like Japan. That's what terrifies me more than anything, guys. So, property prices have skyrocketed over in Western Australia, and Sharon is wondering if the dream of owning a home is ever going to happen. Okay, so here's the first little thing just to keep in mind. $950,000, that's not really... It's not really first home buyers, is it? Now, this is housing affordability here, and this is showing you that, well, the black line here on this Lorenz curve is showing you that in certain cities, if we're above this line, you've got it more affordable. So here, good old Brisbane, it's more affordable. If you're in the 60% income bracket, you can buy this many houses. Well, about 60% if I could draw straight with this. Sydney, no chance. It's not affordable. Perth, it's still a little bit affordable. And they're in a higher income bracket too. So, you know, they'll be going up here. They should have access to many more properties. But they're kind of picky in the area they want. But housing affordability, is it even questioned anymore? Now, I just want to bring up this reference from the Australian Housing and Urban Institute regarding housing affordability stress. And it's the HAS is the definition when a household in the bottom 40% income distribution has to pay 30% or more of their gross income. That's just something to be aware. This is not what we're talking about here. These people are not in this situation, everyone, at all by any measure. They've got more than enough earnings. So we're not talking about poor people unable to get in. But once again, it's government to the rescue. And I think, I think there needs to be more of a discussion. They almost touch on it. The author of the article almost touches on it, and the couple that are talking about it almost touch on the issue of just how much of a burden the government is placing on people buying property. Remember, you have to pay your fair share, guys, before you feed or clothe your family. Okay, just remember that. Keep that in mind. We always have to pay our fair share before we feed or clothe our family. And so, number one, the issue is stamp duty, because they have a $173,000 deposit, and on that $950,000 property, they're putting aside about $45,000 for stamp duty, everyone. So I thought we'd look up what stamp duty is, because this is the thing, we're so used to these taxes and levies and charges that we sometimes forget why they exist in the first place. So I stole this from Wiki. Stamp duty is a tax levied on a single property purchase or documents, including historically the majority of legal documents such as checks, receipts, monetary commissions, marriage licenses, and land transactions. A physical revenue stamp had to be attached or impressed upon the document to show that the stamp duty had been paid before the document was legally effective. More modern versions of the tax no longer require an actual stamp. And I was really disappointed when I handled the conveyancing for my mother buying a house. We didn't get a stamp. I wanted a stamp. We're paying enough for the bloody stamp. We didn't get one. Anyway, the duty is thought to have originated in Venice in 1604. See, taxes survive longer than empires, everyone. These brilliant ideas. It was introduced or reinvented in Spain in 1610, the Netherlands in 1620, France in 1651, Denmark in 1657, and Prussia in 1682, and then England, the Poms, in 1694. It's like a disease, these taxes. They're like a disease. They spread worse than anything. And here in Australia, this is for a mortgage port. This is what the point of stamp duty actually is. And we've got an example of a stamp there. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you've actually old enough to have gotten a stamp for something. Let us know. So, stamp duty is a tax charged by the government on the sale of property. It is designed to cover the costs of the legal documents for the transaction. The main document is ownership title of the property and a search to ensure you're buying from the right person. So that all seems really nice, but how much does that actually cost to do this? If anything, doing this process should get cheaper and cheaper now with technology. Yeah, let's see that, guys. So I looked this up just to find a certificate of title in WA. The price is $26, guys. It's $26. So that's $26.70 for the title fee. Let's say other charges, maybe overheads, maybe power, electricity, I don't know. Half a day for staff, $500. So maybe, $576. Maybe that's what it should cost, not the over $40,000 the government is charging. We all know this is it just pulls in and is used as another income revenue stream. And there's not really much discussion about, abolishing it entirely or reducing it. I would rather, frankly, than abolishing stamp duty, we make it cheaper, much, much cheaper. So it's like $1,000 on a property. So it has a much smaller impact on the cost of property. Because you know what they'll do if they'll abolish it? The bastards will put in a land tax or something else so they can just milk more of you. We need to kind of be smart about this to advocate for a reduction in these things. So it's still there. You can't charge stamp duty. You can't charge land tax. I paid my $580 stamp duty, you bastard. I mean, come on. This should get cheaper. It really should. This is almost where I would argue would be a good case for an Ethereum-backed, trustless, contract system where all the records are kept in the cloud and two parties need to enter data in to confirm the transaction, the exchange. That would be, I think, useful. Then everyone could search who owns everything. Wouldn't that be good? Might be good for developers you want to track down. So let's have a look a little bit back to the couple here about their kind of story. So they could get a duplex in Wembley for $950,000, and we'll have a look at that suburb if their expectations were realistic or unrealistic. So they needed to save $170,000, which was $135,000 for a 15% deposit. So they weren't even getting up to 20% deposit. And when you look at the income these two should be earning, they haven't been going gazelle intensity, guys, for 7 years to get to this. They have not been going hard, like really hard. Like, honey, we're not repairing the hot water during summer for 6 months because we need to save money. Okay? So they've been saving, but I wouldn't be calling them like superheroes with how hard they've been going. And $45,000 for a stamp duty. Okay, 45 grand for stamp duty. There you go. There's that nearly $50,000 to affix that stamp, which doesn't exist anymore, onto your title. So now, last year, a duplex in Wembley is $1.4 million. It's just astronomical, and nothing has a price tag attached to it. It's all auctions and offers, and people paying $200,000 above the reserve price. Well, you've got to do that, guys. You've got to pay that $200,000 above the reserve price, because then you can get into the newspaper articles, guys. You don't buy property to live in Australia. No, never. You buy property so you can be featured on realestate.com that are you, a young couple, and proudly saying you paid $200,000 above reserve. Of course, yeah, that's it. This is coffee. I'm not adding beer or anything to it in the morning. Maybe I should. So, we're two professionals. One is a principal of a primary school. The other is a full-time sonographer. So they're not, they're professionals, guys. They're earning good money. We'll have a look. And we can't afford to buy a house, which is ridiculous, she added. No, you can. But you probably should have saved a lot more of a deposit in 7 years' time, to be honest, with what you're earning, what I'm seeing here. But life gets a way of living. So their rent has increased by $50 a week, meaning the family are now forking out $2,400 a month. So it's been 7 years of sacrifice. Turning down dinner invitations, no big birthday parties for the kids, and not chucking her son $20 when he heads to the skate park on a Saturday afternoon. The couple are currently able to save around $1,700 a month, depending on the outgoings that month. Now, there's a side arc in this article where they're talking about the kids. I think one of them has a disability, but they're getting they're like 16. They're teenagers. So they should be working. At that age, if you can, the kid should be working. You shouldn't need to be borrowing $20 from mom. I got my first job when I was 14. I was a surface cashier. Beep, 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 which probably is going to disappear now. And, it's good working. I hated it. It was a horrible job. I remember it was in the Surface Paradise Woolies down there. So during schoolies, you'd always have people coming down, and just at the beginning, they'd be buying all this junk food and stuff. And then, throughout the week, they'd be coming with super glue and stuff to repair all the damage that they'd caused to their apartment. Oh, and I remember seeing like the 30-year-olds working there going, you know what, I don't want to be doing that for a living. Which is good. This is why I think you need to work as a teenager, guys. So you know what you don't want to do as much. So let's have a look at the wages that they were getting. So an average sonographer, and yearly wage about 90 grand or $86,000. This is gross. So you can have a look here, and bonuses or whatever. So let's just say 80 grand. Now a principal, headmaster, and a salary 130,000. So let's say 120,000. So they're pulling in about 200,000 as a family per year, which is decent income. So they say, their gross income is $3,800 per week, deposit $173,000, so they're saving about $25,000 a year. Stamp duty is about 45 grand, and we can see here I've got it at 40,000, chucking it into a website. So about 1.8 years for stamp duty on a duplex. 1.8 years of their saving, of their sacrifice, going straight to the government. Do you think, honestly, if Google handled the transfer of titles, they would probably find a way to do it for free and just have advertising for playing at you while you're doing the process. This is the problem, guys. Because it goes into consolidated revenue and they just burn it away on other things. There's no competition. The government has no competition as well. So, do they have unrealistic expectations, everyone? And let's have a look here. This is where they were looking at in Wembley, up here. Okay, so not too far from Perth Central, but nice green, leafy suburb. And let's look at some of the stats from there. Now, this is 2016. This is the earliest I could get available, but it still is, about 11,000 300 people, mostly women, median age 35, average 2,800 families, families with children 1.8, all families 0.7. So 5,192 private dwellings, average people per household is 2.4, median weekly income is 1,700. And the median mortgage repayments are 2,167. So their family is well above with regards to their weekly income, even though that is 2016, guys. Still, you know, weekly rent, $320. I doubt it's that anymore. I doubt it's that anymore. So let's have a look, and what we'll do is we'll bring up realestate.com. We'll have a look at some of the properties. This is one example I found that was under offer, and oops, hang on, that was under offer, and it was, well, about their price range, guys, about their price range. So we'll go to the map here, we'll have a look at the area, and let's just filter it, clear all. We'll just go houses and townhouses. So what do we have here? Under offer, no price, like they were saying. Under offer, no price, like they were saying. Under offer, no price, like they were saying. Under offer, no price, they were saying. Mid 2 mils. Mid 2 mils. All offers presented. Under offer, around $1 million. Under offer, oh boy. There we go, $585,000. Now this may be a little bit small for what they're expecting, and probably a little bit north from where they are. I mean, yeah, it's nothing wrong with it. Tiny little backyard. You're probably going to feel a bit tight in there with a family, and I mean, it looks like it's in a. If this is probably, I bet you this is a neighboring building. Looks like it's in a complex. What else do we have there for that price? Under offer, under offer, under contract. Here we go, 2-story, turnkey, $1 million. Added 12 hours ago, guys. So, I mean, we've got a nice modern kitchen, a little bit of, you know, timber veneer there to make it stand out a little bit of color. Yeah, I mean, it's been staged. Can't complain. Let's get. I want to see some photos of the yards, guys. Is this just the townhouse? Looks like it. For $1 million. Hang on. There we go. They're bringing some light in there. Wow. That looks pretty small for $1 million. Everyone. $1 million. What else? How small are these? There's nothing here with a price in this area. So here's the thing. There you go. 945. A bit further away, but again, a little townhouse in a development. So there'll be charges associated with that as well, I'd imagine, body corporate. So it's a modern style. Now, depending on... Some of this stuff is just foam, guys, stuck to the side and rendered. So it looks nice, but you got to just be quite skeptical about it, you know, making these renders, different colors, you know, different styles. I'd rather a backyard. You know, I'd rather a bit rougher. So, I mean, are there... Well, yeah, the market's overheated. They're going to have trouble finding something right now. Everything is going crazy. Everything's going crazy. Under offer in 1 day. So, maybe, let's look at Wembley Downs over here. Under offer, under offer, under offer. What the... Come on. Contact agent. Here we go. $900,000. $900,000. And okay, we got a bedroom, you know, a decent sized house with a residence. You got some tiny backyard, all, you know, brick inside. Sure, it's not too bad. I mean, you could plaster over that if you don't want to look at the green. Yeah, okay, yeah. You're gonna have fun with the color scheme, guys. Interior decorating, tidying it up, little outdoor space, little tiki village. So what do you reckon, guys? You think they've been unrealistic with their expectations, with what they're getting in? I mean, this one was $927,000. So it's I mean, it's going a bit crazy. Maybe they need to be looking somewhere else. So let's look at some of the solutions because she's frustrated, her husband are frustrated. But they are professionals earning a significant amount of money. You know, they've managed to squirrel away a deposit for their property. Maybe they should be buying an investment property further out, doing the whole rent vesting thing, then use that to leverage in. But she has a solution here, and this is the most encouraging thing about this article, everyone. So, financial literacy for the kids. But Sharon is doing the best to ensure her kids aren't put in the same position. I don't want them in this situation. I said they've got $5 a week pocket money, and if you want, I will give you your pocket money, but if you don't spend it, I'll give you $10 a week. I've got $1,000 for each, and I'm putting it into shares, she said. We do a similar thing with our schooling, because we distance ed school, and we've now removed Mina from day school. She's back studying at home, and I'll do a video talking about why we did that. It's actually worked out really well. Her entire attitude has changed, and she really appreciates it. But they'll earn money for how many their schoolwork they do. I consider that their job. Their job will pay them 10 cents for a task, and they can earn, $5 to $10 a day. And then they put it in a jar, and we go and buy silver for them, so they have coins. Although Mina has a taste for gold. Typical girls. And then teaching them to buy shares. So it's good that they're seeing this. So hopefully they will have a deposit for a small apartment when they finish university. So that they're not in the position we are, 46 or 47, as it's so stressful and disheartening. I mean, they've been looking, well, they were looking for 3 months. They weren't looking at all, but they're pretty old to be getting into the first home market. And here's where they kind of missed the point a little bit. Sharon believes the Australian property system has to change because unless you bought a house 10 years ago, people are struggling. Well, she's right there. She wants to see stamp duty dropped or the limit for first home buyers abolished. Now, they can't get the stamp duty discount, guys. If we have a look here, they can't get the discount. First homeowners get a concession on it, depending on the amount. But because they're buying so high, because they want to get in an inner city area, they can't get it. So I think the first home buyer's grant shouldn't be capped to buy a house in Perth at $565,000. I would have to live so far outside the city. There you go. They'd have to live outside of the city. And that's the problem. I would have to change jobs and change all the kids' schools. It's almost punishing the people who are working in the city, she said. No, that's it. That's the problem. See, here's the question, guys. Should they have gotten in a few years earlier with a significantly less deposit? Gotten something cheaper? And so here's what I'd argue for. I'd advocate to abolish stamp duty. Now, thinking about it, maybe even just significantly reduce it. Advocate to politicians or special interest groups to abolish the tax to make housing more affordable. Advocate for a reduction and not for the government, not to reduce the land tax. That's what I'm scared about, guys. Because you'll see more and more talk about removing stamp duty to increase the liquidity and the ability for people to move around and to work. But is that really part of our culture here in Australia? People kind of like to sit and just stay. And, or make land tax payment. Oh, here's another question. That should be make, and I'll change that. What if you, one way to get the woke crowd, what if land tax payments were a requirement for universal suffrage, or for suffrage, a prerequisite for suffrage? You couldn't vote unless you were paying land tax. How do you think that would go over, guys? If anything, that'd be a nightmare, because then that would just drive up property prices even more. So I'm being facetious there. So there we have it, everyone. There we have it. It's interesting. Maybe their expectations are a bit unrealistic for the area. It just is going crazy over there. Maybe they have to move a bit further out, but then they'll have to make sacrifices. Or maybe they'll just have to accept that they're going to be renting where they are, or save an even bigger deposit. You'd think a couple who should be on about 200 grand as a family shouldn't have any problems getting into property. And, I mean, okay, earning $3,800 a week before tax, maybe they could save a little bit more than $25 a year. They have not been going gazelle intensity. The problem is they're getting on in age too. When you're hitting 40, nearly 50, you should already be in the market. At least the kids will be gone soon. You know, out and about living themselves. So everyone, thank you all for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. Take care. Have a great day. Let me know what you think about this new style I'm testing out. And I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.